Hey! Hello everybody! Welcome to another show, 5 minutes late today, which is a miracle in itself. A couple of hours ago, I was looking at the Preseli Mountains in West Wales. So, anyway, lots of exciting stuff today. Glad you could join us. Whoa, that's a bit more Baron Blackett's new album. Let's turn that down a little bit. I think that's a bit loud. Hard to tell from here, and Arnie's just walked off to get something. Arnie's in the house. Well, he's in and out of the house at the moment. Let's see how I'm looking on there. Can you see me okay now? Hey, I've disappeared, I've disappeared. Let's try it again. There we go. Hello, everyone. We are alive and well. And just to say, just like change of format, I know we spent a lot of time talking about all the new things that are happening, all this kind of thing. This week that'll come at the end, alright? And we're going to dive straight into some cracking topics. I'm going to have a little chat. Bob Morgan has sent in information about the Welsh fort. Oh man, that seems loud to me. Is it loud to you, Anne? You what he says?
Turn mine down to like minimum volume. About 17 seconds lag.
Okay, we've got user sort of lag. We can deal with that. That's okay. So a little look at the Welsh fort in Rome. Oh, can you pass that book, please? I've got a bit buried. Just check everything else. And we'll show you the box for the Ghost booth, which is ready. Book is ready. What else we got? Okay, yeah, we're gonna go. Basically, we're gonna go with the history of Gwent, as it was still being taught in schools in 1925, and I have to say, there's a lot of stuff in it I didn't know.
Oh, the lighting's not very good. Look very...
The lighting's not very good, is it? No, can we plug that light in there a little bit? Alright, okay. So we're going to go, I've got the 1925 book here. Well, I haven't got the original, unfortunately. And as you know, got another reprint from Gyanbooks in India. Isn't it great? You have to go. You gotta love live, haven't you? Ah, the microphone's working now. Yes, I can see the microphone's working. Yay, we're back on. Thank you for staying with it.
You're frozen. Oh no.
No, I'm okay. We are game on.
We have the mic back.
Yes, we're all back on. All right. Okay. Cool. Sorry about that, folks. We have little gremlins every week, don't we? I get all this kit and everything. Go to great lengths to get everything working. We test it. That nothing else. Right. Just paying for more electricity for the sound. All right, Northstar. Good evening, all. Right. Hopefully you're okay. Swear but no interfering as well. South Wales Electricity Board. That is for those. Hey, good old thinky stinkers. Craig Thomas. Right. I will say again, just in case you didn't catch it. I'm going to go through the update stuff and all the great good things that are coming out at the end, okay? Because I want people to be able to come straight onto this video if they watch it on playback or want to watch it again. And we go straight into the subject, which, if you can see this book or not, Story of Gwent. And as it was taught, this is a school textbook, all right? This is the book that was... That's better on here. Better lighting. Yeah, this is the textbook that was used in schools. So this isn't like some... I like the term alternative history, prefer authentic history, but it's not something which was it was just how history was taught, okay? Up until 1925 then. Benny Babbles is there, excellent. Kevin Thomas, made it live, yay! Oh, it's a really good turnout tonight, we've got loads of people online, so that's great news. Right, Arnie, chat amongst yourselves, yes, thanks, reading your comments back. So we're going to go through that. And just quickly, before we do that, I've got couple of short ones just to share.
Only 15 seconds the lag.
The lag's getting less, that's great. Okay, hang on. Where's the slideshow button on here? Quick on.
What do you mean?
Oh, slideshow, there it is. Okay, can you just check this comes up on the screen?
Yeah.
Okay, so this is going to show the...
It looked for a second like you were frozen.
Right, I'm just reading. If you leave that facing here, then I can see, yes, Team Britain's Hidden History is a growing team. I've been sent some great stuff this week. Loads of it. I've got some more videos to go up. I've edited, done the video and everything of Sean up on Toying Tudor, and I was going to pop the poem on there, which a few technical difficulties. So straight after this show, I'm going to post that video. It is edited and done. I was going to put a little highlight here. And something I want to do, before we go into the main subject, here's another one, which hopefully... Oh, I think I'm cutting off a bit too much of the screen there, aren't I? You're going to have difficulty seeing this. Oh well, we're kind of stuck with that now. You're going to miss the top corner. So first, quiz question for everybody. I'll be very impressed if you get this. Because it's somewhere... I'll give some clues. Hang on, let's make me a bit smaller, shall we? I can't do that now. You're going to have to do this. Arnie set it up. I'm not going to stitch him up. Arnie did it. And he's made me a little bit big, which is very nice, except you can't see the picture very well. Anyway, we got any people want to have a guess here where this is? I went there with Tim Lewis a few days ago. We were going to make a video, but there's still some more stuff we want to add to it. So I'm going to go back again, and I'll give you a clue. I live near Pontypridd. It's only a few miles from me. It's a little quiz before people are logging in. And if you go through the Wilson and Blackett work, well, not just their work, they collect the old historians, you'll find that the kings of Glamorgan and Gwent had their private estates, their hunting lodges. And there was a certain place where Arthur in particular, and I believe Myrick before him, had as their main summer residence, if you like, somewhere where they could go and do their hunting and have their fun with their woods, the wonderful views. And this is the area where one of the wives, the second wife I would think, one of her, started seeing someone from, who wasn't her husband, Mordred, but not the Mordred in the big battle at Camlan. The other Mordred, Llancarvan. See, that's interesting you say Llancarvan. You might be right. I'm not avoiding your answer. So in this certain place, then they were supposed to have had their secret meetings, their trysts. And then, of course, they had to flee before Arthur found out. And the story is that Arthur, not such a pleasant chap, sometimes or because of his pride or whatever, he decided to pursue them all the way to Scotland. I think it's a place called Meagle, where yes, definitely in Wales, Johnny, well done. And he tracked them down and set his hunting dogs and ripped them to shreds. So we think where it is Miskin, okay? The answer is Miskin. So well done anyone who realised that. And a place to this day, there's a hotel called Miskin Manor. Could do with zooming in, but you can see past me, alright, because we're trying to work out from this. Have I frozen again? Come on, Arnie, I need you back. Hang on, you have to go to me. Oh, why is it doing? I don't know why we get so much trouble. There shouldn't be any problems like this. It really is ridiculous. But anyway, what we want to do is look at that stonework and everything. And then, Arnie, dear.
Huh?
Oh, it's frozen on me again.
Oh.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. Arnie's got his dinner. Right, okay, bear with me. Okay, sorry about that. Good job I noticed. Yeah, so we're looking at the stones and everything. Is this just medieval thing on the same site? Or is this possibly the same site as the ancient stuff? So we're going to more exploring. It's very, very easy to get to. It's just yards. Just got the Miskin Manor. You see the turning for the hotel. It's like a sort of leisure, luxury place with health spas and all that kind of thing. And there's a little fork to your right, and you can climb up there, and it's right there. I didn't know it was even there. It's absolutely fabulous, very evocative. Alright, so it was Miskin Manor. Tim Lewis took that amazing photograph. Yeah, I'm a little bit big in the top corner, I can't see the pictures, so maybe a bit small next time, okay. Alright, next quiz question, quick one. So I want to go on to the main subject, 'cause there's stacks of really cool stuff about Gwent. I didn't know about. I've been reading up in this. Everyone should know about. Say, what is that? Good question, Arnie.
Looks amazing.
Looks amazing. What is it? Where is it? Anyone got any ideas? I'll give everyone a few minutes. And, no.
No clue.
The big clue is there was some sort of castle there. And it's not in Wales. It's not in England. It's not in Scotland. And this castle site is one of those great mysteries. And it seems to be a really good case of hidden history for loads of reasons. And it's in Ireland. And hopefully you got the name by now, if you're aware of it at all. It is called Drumana. And this is from Bob Morgan. So thank you, Bob. This gives an idea. It's a little promontory that sticks out of the east coast of Ireland. And Bob's been doing a great job. And I got 4 pages of notes here, which I really want to go through, but I think it's a big enough subject to warrant its own video. So I'm going to try and do it tomorrow. It should be done tomorrow, or day after. What we have here is a site of a castle. Now the curious thing is, it's got extremely political, because I'll give it the gist of the arguments here. You've got the north and the south of Ireland are arguing, because how do I do this without covering the whole thing? Is it not Roman? This is the first question, alright? As you know, anything that's found anywhere, the first assumption is it's Roman. But the problem is the Romans never have claimed even to come to Ireland, and certainly not built a fortress. Also, the artifacts come from later. Now, the only claim there is for an invasion of this part of Ireland is by Ceredig, who was part of the Welsh royal family, who was supposed to have landed here in the 400s and carved out an empire for himself, which is why people like let's get it right, not Brunach, Brachan is said to be Irish because he was born in Ireland as part of this Welsh dynasty ruling a little empire. So it's got extremely political. I can't imagine the Irish government's very keen to say the Welsh invaded. They can't say the Romans were there. It's caused a conflict between the north and the south. You'll find that almost all the items are now hidden away. We can't see them. They blamed metal detectorists and treasure hunters, but most of that's been regathered. It doesn't seem to be on display. And there's different stories of how it's covered in the northern newspapers and the Sunday Times and the Irish Sunday Press. Bob's done brilliant research on this. How are they trying to... Well, they're just hiding it. It's now privately owned. You can't even go there. You can't even have a look at it. And we've promised archaeology. So we'll keep our eyes... Keep watching that one, eh? Watching brief. And there's Martello Towers in Napoleonic times and all that kind of stuff, okay? So it's a rather interesting little thing. Now, I think everyone's had plenty of chance to get online. Got a lot to cover with this. So I'm going to try and do is get so I can see the comments as I go, hopefully. Right, hit the like button. Helps the algorithm. Yes, thank you, Finky Stingers. Yes, more likes are good, please. Right, so this remarkable book. Can't remember exactly how much it costs. It's about £10 or something. I'm not getting any money for promoting this. It's Gyanbooks, Gyan books.com. It's a very simple web address. Go on there. He's put in the name of the book. And special hello to Mrs. Carnegie, who showed me the other day. She just ordered like 6-7 books, and it's great. I was hoping to get there today to pick them up and show them off, and drop off one of my books, The Cambrian Triumphants, as a sharing with her. So I hope she's watching. Yeah, I love the dislike that comes up straight away. It's great. I haven't done a video yet, already disliking. So anyway, so and you've got like Cambrian history, and there's a story of some old Welsh poetry. There's some great books, and Mrs. Carnegie's doing some amazing research. So I'm going to come back to more of that as well. Right, so let's get stuck straight in to Story of Gwent. There are pictures in here. We have scanned them in, but to lay them all out for a full presentation, we didn't get back in time to do that. So you're going to have to look at me now. And I've been told by my cousin Neil, thank you very much for hospitality. You know, a little bubble, putting us up for the weekend. But holding up the books to the camera, you can't read anything. Well, at least you can hopefully see some of the photographs. Because the best you're going to get, all right? Now, the opening parts of the book describe, as you'd expect, the geography and the early settlements and prehistoric stuff, you know, Stone Age man, all the usual things you get. But there was an interesting thing about the geography here, which is worth mentioning, is that the River Wye, which I always say my most favourite drive in part of the world, they call it the Welsh Rhine, and it really is stunning. So if you look at pictures of the Wye, and it's supposed to have inspired Wordsworth, and also the Shakespeare wrote Midsummer Night's Dream, inspired by that area. But I haven't got time to spend too long on how beautiful the area is and Gwent itself. The name Gwent, even the name Gwent, seems to come from Gwen, which means beautiful, you know, or the lovely place. But what I really got to push on is what surprised me originally, what caught my attention originally, is that King Arthur is mentioned in here as a historical character. And he shows, although there's all sorts of fantasies and all sorts of stuff going on around the world, the historical roots of Arthur and the original writings of Arthur come from Gwent. So this is what was taught in schools, all right? This was a generally accepted history. But as I went through it, you find that's not the end of the story by any means. How much of important British history or English... Uh-oh. Please don't go off. English history. Can I see my microphone? Make sure it's still working. Microphone. Yep, still working. Phew. Okay. Revolves around southeast Wales and the West Country, of course. So when you go all the way up to, jump through this very quickly, up to 1535 with the Act of Union, where Wales and England was merged. And which parts of Wales that includes, because that does not include all of Wales, which also quite surprised me. So in 1925, of course, they were teaching the Roman stuff. I'm going to have to try this on screen. I hope it works. Please don't complain. I'm sorry. I'd like to do a proper presentation. Oh, we got a new one on here now. But okay. All right. There's a wonderful picture there of the sort of fun people used to have before you had TVs. This picture's about 1911. And it's some beautiful lady of Gwent. Up a bit, down a bit. Which way do you want to go on? Oh, down a bit. And she's dressed in her Siluria's maiden outfit. So once I get the position right, I can do it for all. Look at that. Isn't that fantastic? That's the way you dress, yeah? There's a big revival into 1910, 1911 for all the druidic stuff and everything. So that's rather interesting. And you got the stuff about the Romans, Gwent. But the first thing I want to point out, let's get onto my notes here. Let's make sure I get this right. We talk about Caradoc, which would be nice to see still taught in schools. and how Caradoc fought against the Romans. And we're going to get onto the Christianity thing in a second, all right? But the first thing it mentions, which surprised me, I'm going to need my glasses. And jump to got the Coming of the Romans, page 42. If anyone's got the book. Right, a few things now. Okay. The first one is, at this point, 1925, this is before the famous dig that was organised.
Trying to see the name of the book for Terry Benkins.
Oh, the name of the book. Sorry, Terry, there it is again. Story of Gwent. I will put this in the description, okay? Now, what's fantastic, the first thing you notice here is the lack of evidence for the Romans even doing Caerleon. This was when Woolley came along later. Mortimer Wheeler did his digs of the amphitheatre, which up until then was always considered to be Arthur's Round Table. That's how he got the funding. So what then happened, he was a big Roman fan, and he's decided to call everything Roman. And this whole Roman idea seems to come from then. And what fascinated me was the absence of any Roman evidence. So, for example, up until then, at this point, the fact that only one brass coin of Claudius and a single gold coin of Nero have been discovered at Caerleon proves that the Roman settlement in Siluria is what they call in Gwent, that's the Roman name, to be very incomplete. So they're still throwing doubt on this idea that the Romans just romped over the whole of Britain. This is a very new idea. Another thing which he points out here is the contact between Caradoc and Paul. And this comes on later in the book, where we can look at the idea of how Christianity started and where did the Christianity start with and which direction did it go. Well, there's an interesting comment here. Thinky Stingers. It's a funny name, but I have to be careful every time, right? Thinky Stingers is still like to see you do a video on the old church on the steelwork lands in Port Talbot, Ross. That's got to be ancient. I didn't know there was an ancient church there, because, you know, just today, when we came back from West Wales, every time I look at Port Talbot, you think that's got to be an important area, and could there possibly be any archaeology there? Do you know we've done the videos, those big steep hills overlooking Port Talbot? Venus, you know, the city of the people and all that. Well, the interesting thing there, as Bob Morgan, coming with us, pointed out, there's no real archaeology to support the people living up on the hill. And so why would you? This is more the defensive place to be. Where you want to live and carry your business is on the big flat area by the sea, where you've got the rivers guarding your flanks, large mountain behind, which would guard against landward attack and provide a buttress if you're really pressed from the sea. And there's where there still is today, Tartar Steel, all those areas around Margam, is really the place we'd expect to see large major settlements. And that's what... Graham's on as well. Hi. Yes, Finky Stingers, I definitely. And if anybody in the group can help, we need anyone else in that area, Port Talbot. Can you find any evidence of any archaeology or anything ancient on the flat bits on the beach, Aberavon Beach, I think it's called, around there? Anyway, sorry, I'm jumping around again as a comment came up. I'm glad he mentioned that, because it's an area we really want to look at. Alright, so then we've got the capture of Caradoc and everything. And this is the kind of thing we used to be taught, you see. So he's being held in chains, and he's despising to cast himself down before the mighty lord of the Romans, as the other captives had done, advanced fearless and calm to the imperial throne. And this is what Caradoc is said to the Romans. Stood with brow serene, where slaves might prostrate fall, bearing a Briton's manly mien in Caesar's palace hall. Claudius, of course. Claiming with kindled brow and cheek the liberty e'en there to speak, nor could Rome's haughty lord withstand the claim that look preferred, but motioned with uplifted hand the suppliant should be heard. So then you've got, I'm sure everyone knows this, but in case you've missed it, because it hasn't been taught in schools for about 50 years at least. Think not, this is the Cradoc speech, you see, think not, mighty Claudius, Lord of Rome and ruler of the world, that I would address thee as a slave. I speak as the bold should greet the brave. If to the nobility of my birth, again an allusion back to his Trojan roots and his same royal blood as the Roman emperors, and the splendour of exalted station, I had united the spirit which would deign to hold a vassal's throne. Rome had beheld me not in captivity, but a royal visitor and friend. I might have ridden through Rome's crowded streets today, not borne down with the base fetters of a captive, but as an honoured vassal of the mighty throne. Worthless to Rome, with all her palaces and wealth, must be the homely huts and woodland bowers of the sea-girt isle, but they were dear to us, for they were free. I had arms and men and horses. Can you wonder that I was unwilling to lose them? I was born free, with a heart and soul unfettered and unquelled. Do you marvel that I scorned to hold the throne by your consent? I am now in your power. If you are bent on vengeance, fulfilled your purpose. It matters not to me, since I can no longer hold the free throne of Britain. The bloody scene will soon be over, and I shall be forgotten. But on my fate depends your glory or your shame. Preserve my life, and I shall be to the end of time a monument of Roman clemency. Fantastic stuff. And I don't know, do they teach anything at all about local history in Wales anymore? It doesn't seem to be so far from my children's experience. We shall see, okay? But also, the strange legend of the Druids comes in, and then we have the whole point of Paul running into Claudius and all that kind of stuff. So that's really interested, first of all. But I need to push on, okay? Because another thing which jumps out at me, and I hate holding it up against the camera, I know it's a bit rubbish, but I just wanted to show that I am basing this on something. And what it does talk about here is the fact that the Romans came and took Caerleon. The city of Caerleon, when it fell into the hands of the Romans. So, if the Romans built Caerleon, how did it fall into their hands, you know? It must have been there before. So, he's saying before it's wooden buildings, and they found remains, charred remains at different depths, having been burnt down and rebuilt many times during the long struggle for the possession of the city. And no account has been left of the recapture of Caerleon, but there can be no doubt that the Silures fought valiantly ere they retired to the fastness of their neighbouring mountains before the advance of their more powerful enemy. So all this seems much more up for grabs, okay? So, right, I'm going to jump forward now. We could talk for an hour just about Caerleon and the Roman stuff. What's happened? I hope you need to plug in, on. You need to plug in. Arnie's lost power on his computer. I stitched him up there because I set him up. You stitched me up. So there we go. Right, what are we going to go on? Yeah. Right, okay. And the other thing which is wonderful, and this is a point which makes perfect sense to me. Why would you build Caerleon and Gwent so close to each other? And there's such... if you were a Roman invader, you would have one. You wouldn't need both. What seems to make far more sense, we talked about before, is that on the side of the Severn, this absolutely massive, crucial trading river, you build Caerleon, and that's your harbour and your port, and you maybe put a barracks there to house your soldiers, and that's your frontier. Then you have the big hill forts, Lodge Hill, where Arthur, or the Welsh kings, earlier Welsh kings at that time would have been there, keeping an eye on things, and Caerwent would seem to be the British town. This is also recorded in E.O. Gordon's Prehistoric London. Now, what I'm going to say here is that what it's saying is they consider Caerleon to be a second Rome, and how wonderful it was, how the Romans building with their gilded roofs and everything. And if you look through the sources, they always talk about the contrast with the British city of Caerwent. So that's interesting in itself. Okay, then we've got the Martyrs and that. I really want to push forward because it's the latest stuff that really comes in, which I had no idea about, and I'm so excited I can hardly wait to get there. Ah! Right, okay, so we're on to the British Church. And this is the other thing which this makes clear, which I don't think was... Right, hang on a second, yeah. People are catching up on this. On Port Talbot, they found a castle ruin and village right next to the sea in Port Talbot. That'd be great to look into. Caerleon Roman amphitheatre is oval. Everywhere else they are circular. It's not Roman, it's yours, Britain's capital of Cambria. So thank you, Scorpus says. Well, I have to say, the ones that Tim has brought photographs back from Mediterranean islands, and I've had other people contact me. Generally, the amphitheatres were a semicircle, as you'd expect. So you'd have a hill or something for everyone to sit on in a kind of terraced fashion, like a natural grandstand, and then a stage walled in or whatever where the action would take place. It doesn't seem at all like the amphitheatre. Much more likely to be a large meeting area where you could have speeches, gatherings, and well, we covered a bit of that last week. So time team at Kenvig Dunes. Yeah, Port Talbot makes perfect sense to me as the landing point. Right, the other thing was here that the importance this book keeps mentioning, which I don't think gets mentioned anywhere, is, for a start, we have the mention of Linus, Linus, the first Bishop of Rome. Okay, not Peter or Paul. When the new Wilson and Blackett book comes out, you'll see that it seems most like that Paul and Peter never even went to Rome, never even there. The first Bishop of Rome, as recorded in the Bible itself, in 2 Timothy, and you can see the church is still there and the details still there. They were British, with Linus being one of them, and it's here in this book. They were still teaching this. The exact word they have here, historians tell us that Linus was afterwards elected Bishop of Rome. They're teaching this in schools in 1925. We think we're discovering new things in this group, and it's stuff that's been hidden. This is why it's not neglected history or forgotten history, it's hidden history, okay? It's different. Right, historians tell us that Linus was afterwards elected Bishop of Rome and died the death of a martyr. However much doubt can be cast over this early story, it is at least certain that Claudia, a princess of ancient Gwent, was the first to promote religion and education, and her name deserves far greater recognition than has been given to it. 100 years ago they were saying this. Claudia and Pudens had 4 sons, one of whom, Timotheus, devoted himself to Christianity, diligently instructing all who came to him in the glorious truths of the Christian faith. Finally, at a national council held at Winchester in the year 155, Christianity was established as the national religion in place of Druidism and the false gods of the Romans. So we learned very little about the British Church until the appearance of Diocletian as emperor, which is 285 to 305, when the Christian Church throughout the Western world entered upon a period of persecution and bloodshed. It was a great shame for the reform of the empire, and then he goes on about why this happened and all that. But the point is there that the persecutions were coming from Rome. But the claim is that Rome is the home of Christianity. Yet, if you go through all the history, and we all know about the stories of the lions in the amphitheatre and Christians being burned alive and persecuted all over the Roman Empire. And yet this is supposed to be where Christianity came from. So my dad's stupid little jokes was, oh, look at that little poor lion. He hasn't got a Christian. This is the story we know about. Well, why is this supposed the home of it all if you couldn't even publicly worship there? All right, so anyway, it also talks here at Caerleon. Right, the passing of this wave of heathen persecution over Britain has left its traces even to our own day in many place names in the locality. Historians tell us that the first 9 onslaughts of the heathen persecution did not reach this island. The British kings were Christian and they went, no, we're not having that here, okay? But the 10th and last wave broke upon these shores with all its cruel force. At Caerleon, where its fury, brutality and merciless cruelty were first felt, we read that on the first day of July 303, right, 303, so British history, they've already said it could go back to 2nd century, they hint at 1st century because of Linus, and now we're up to 303. Anyway, the Christians were assembled together for worship when the Roman soldiers, at a given signal, rushed in upon them, seized all and bore them to prison. When the Roman officers found that the prison would not contain all the Christians they had seized, the order was issued that they were to put to death. Among the prominent Christians in Caerleon at the time were Amphibalus, the bishop, and Julius and Aaron, two natives of the city who assisted him in his labours. So I'll cut this short anyway, but they were martyred. And right to this day, you've got the Church of St. Julian, and it's now occupied by a stable or barn. The place is still there, St. Julian's, on the outskirts of Newport. And the site of the Chapel of St. Aaron is less known. Arnie?
Oh, you just froze.
I've frozen? Oh,
Yeah, you just
sorry, thanks. Oh, no. Oh, yeah, okay.
I was looking at you.
All right, yeah, okay. All right, you can still hear me okay anyway, can't you? That's the main thing. All right, just jump back to that. Sorry, folks. That's quite frustrating it does that, isn't it? You froze up, mate. Yeah, only my face, not my voice. It's okay. Right, Alban, it also goes, some Christians survived. And in here it actually says, then Alban, refusing to deny the true and living God, was cruelly beheaded. And Amphibalus, now at the mercy of the Roman butchers, was brought out and stoned to death. And then we got about Bishop of Llandaff and Caerleon, all that going back to 490. So it's still, rather than go through the whole book straight chronologically, much later in the book, it then explains that the Welsh church was independent of the Roman church for many more hundreds of years than that. And it was run independently. And I think this is where it ties in with David and the machinations of the Roman church versus the British church, which David seems to be part of. And we're looking more into that. Bob, for example, doing some good work, and I'm talking with him about something together on that kind of subject and who was British and whether the Irish was Roman Catholic or British. Great subject. Anyway, right, exciting bits that people might be looking for is on page 62. So while Dubricius was Archbishop of Caerleon, the chiefs of Britain came to him and proposed that he should crown Arthur as the War King. And I'm not sure you can read that or not. I just want it to be seen on screen for the record that this book of 1925 that was taught in schools very clearly states that Arthur was the War King crowned by Dubricius to lead them in their struggle against the Saxons. The splendour of the scene when the Archbishop placed the crown upon the head of the young king is described in another chapter. There's more about Arthur later, okay? There's a lot about him. The British Church at this time was disturbed by the preaching of false doctrine. So serious was its effect that Dubricius called a general meeting of the church in Cardiganshire to refute the false teaching. So we go through all the different ones, and David and all this. And I would suggest that this argument that was taking place was all to do with whether you're going to follow the Roman version or the British version. Okay? So then he goes through how David was appointed Archbishop of Caerleon before he's out in West Wales. Now, it's during this period we get the story of Gwent, which I know Dixie's out there. I haven't seen you online. He's bound to be there. Dixie doesn't miss. Maybe he's not logged in. I know he'll be out. Oh, David Mosley as well. Oh, and Monica, guten Abend, from Germany. And Paul from California. Oh, that's great, isn't it? People around the world taking interest. I know many more watch this on replay because of time differences and things. So, right, so what we're looking at there is that... So Gwynllw, the simple structure erected by Gwynllw was the beginning from which the present church of St. Woolos has grown. So that this is another reason why the Welsh language is so important. I'm not a Welsh speaker. I'm not doing this to promote anything of my own particular interest. Yes, Dyfrig, sorry. Dyfrig's the other name. Yay, Dixie's there. Craig. Oh, of course you're Craig, aren't you? Dixie's not his real name, see? How I think it is sometimes. So, the importance of the language, like, you don't have to learn to speak the language, alright? It would be great if you do. The language being taught in schools at the moment is nothing like proper Welsh anyway. The language of the BBC and other media is not, it's just not the old Welsh. What anyone can do, and I try and do, is learn as much of the old names as you can. You've got people like Tim Lewis, who's fantastic. When you see a name in Welsh, look it up in the old dictionaries, try and work out what it means. Or like Steve Willits is doing with his fantastic work, where he's actually tracing all back to old Babylonian names. These places and the people are crucial. And we've really got to be on our guard because places are having their names changed. And a lot of the new places are very nondescript. Like the new, they're building like a new town just outside Cardiff, and it's called Danes Court. Which, for one,